Welcome to video 3. Today we're going to take a closer look at the heart and soul dimensions. If these dimensions are weaker for you, pay close attention to my suggestions for how to grow in each dimension. If heart and soul are strong for you, notice how you can bring your strengths to your team. So let's look at heart, leading with all your heart. The heart of a leader is the truest part of who you are. Your heart is the center of your emotions, desires, and wishes. Your heart is what most connects you with others. Love God, love others begins here in the heart. It's the relational dimension of leadership. Leading from the heart means understanding the power of connection, knowing that one of our greatest human needs is to be known. So here's the 3 key indicators of when we're leading from heart. First is we understand the power of influence and steward it wisely. Influence by definition means the power to change or affect someone. When we're leading from heart, we understand that we earn influence through relationships rather than authority. Number 2, emotional intelligence. Our EQ includes our ability to understand how our emotions affect us, as well as our ability to read the emotions of others and discern how we're affecting them. It's self-awareness and others' awareness. EQ enables us to determine the emotional dynamics with others and navigate relationships in effective ways. And number 3 is trust. Stephen M.R. Covey says that trust is a function of 2 things, character and competence. Character includes your integrity, your motive, and your intent with people. Competence includes your capabilities, your skills, your results, and your track record, and both are vital. When we lead from the heart, we see others as living, breathing humans with stories, emotions, families, strengths and weaknesses, and tragedies and joys. And when we see those we lead as human, we seek to relate with them through our God-given power to understand one another through emotional connection. So how do you grow in heart? Here's a couple ways. First, always encourage. If you're prone to be a critic, work hard to name what's good. Encouragement is an intentional action by the leader to provide feedback that seeks to develop the best in others. Secondly, seek to connect. Slow down to see people. Connecting as a relational leader takes us back to the pivotal understanding of leadership, that leadership is about others. It's not about you. In order to connect, we must see those we're leading as the center of our attention and our conversation. And then third, show compassion. Just care about others. Compassionate leaders are more concerned about providing care than taking credit. When compassion drives us, it makes way for humility to lead us. So let's look at soul, leading with all your soul. The soul is the part of us that longs to know God. It's the epicenter of morality, integrity, humility, and servanthood. It's the spiritual component of our leadership, and it gives us the sensitivity to engage in the conversations that help lead people closer to God. And it's really the distinction that sets you apart as a faith-based leader. For those of you who are church leaders, you would think we would be good at this one. But oftentimes we can get so busy with the work of the ministry that we miss this in our daily interactions with others. So what does leading from soul look like? 1, it's faith as a guiding principle. A leader's life is not his or her own. Every move you make is watched, studied, mimicked, followed, or criticized. So how do your actions support your belief system? How do you treat others? As a spiritual leader, you must define the God-honoring attributes of a follower of Christ and then consider whether your daily actions display those qualities as well. Number 2, desire to lead people closer to God. Ask yourself, in my daily interactions with my coworkers, am I looking for ways to lead people closer to God? So how do you develop leading from the soul? First, model a life submitted to God. Spiritual leadership is most consistently modeled in our character. It's less about what we say and much more about how we live. Do you love, serve, and give to others? Are you kind, generous, and intentional about investing in others? Do the rhythms of your life reflect time spent with God? Second, be a servant. Spiritual leadership nods to the prevailing theme that leadership is servanthood first. We can't lead others where we're not willing to go ourselves. Third, pray for wisdom. As leaders, we naturally feel the responsibility to give direction and to provide wisdom for those we lead. And while praying for wisdom for ourselves is critical, equally important is that we pray for wisdom for those we lead. Ruth Haley Barton says, "The choice to lead from our soul is a vulnerable approach to leadership because the soul is more tender than the mind or the ego." So here are some questions for reflection today. What is one way that you could encourage or connect with your team this week? 2, how much is your faith involved in your work? And 3, if leadership is a life of service, how could service become a greater part of your work?